Hi, my name is Esteban, and to elaborate more on what my partner was talking about, I'd first like to explain exactly what a fat tax is and how it works. So a fat tax is basically implementing a certain percentage on the price of a product that you consume, and depending on the reason, it would be in efforts to reduce consumption due to either substance abuse or obvious health reasons. A good example of how this tax has been implemented in the past is the tax on a pack of cigarettes. We see this in places such as New York, and has also been done all around the world. According to the U.S. Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids, they write, "Tobacco tax increases are one of the most effective ways to reduce smoking and other tobacco use, especially among kids. Every 10% increase in cigarette prices reduces youth smoking by about 7% and total cigarette consumption by about 4%. Similar to our claim, we have proposed the idea of implementing a tax on sugary and unhealthy foods. So some questions that can arise, like my opponent was saying, that maybe might not work, and also how would we consider how much tax to implement on these foods, and how do we consider fair like that? So according to the article published in Time magazine, to gain control of expanding waistlines worldwide, unhealthy foods and drinks need a 20% fat tax, with subsidies for healthy food. They also write about a scientist named Oliver Munton of the British Heart Foundation Health Promotion Research Group. Him and a few of his colleagues from the University of Oxford, they conducted a review of about 30 international studies to determine the effects of food taxes on the public. So, one U.S. study reviewed by Munton and his colleagues found a 35% tax on sugar-sweetened drinks, which is about 45 cents per drink, led to a 26% decline in sales. Based on their analysis of modeling studies, they concluded a 20% tax on sugary drinks in the United States would reduce obesity levels by 3.5%, from 33.5% to 30% among adults. So a similar tax in the UK could cut about 2,700 heart diseases and deaths in a year, and the study was done in the UK. So, proposing to put a tax on unhealthy foods can be very beneficial to our society. Seeing how these studies have gone, it sets a good guideline on what to expect if implementing this tax. In order to determine what unhealthy foods do get taxed, we can learn from the mistakes of Denmark. Denmark was the first country in the world to really implement a fat tax, but unfortunately they did fail. So according to the website of the Committee for Economic Development, Courtney Bright, a research associate, writes about the situation that happened in Denmark. So in 2011, they passed a fat tax on butter, milk, cheese, pizza, meat, and oil and processed foods. They did this in hopes to reduce the population's consumption of fatty, sugary foods. This was because Denmark had a steady increase in weight gain, and they saw a considerable amount of people becoming obese. So, unfortunately, it did not work out due to the tax that they did implement and the products that they implemented them on. I believe it was about 7% on each product, and according to Oliver Munton, in order for this fat tax to really be successful, it has to be at least about 20%. This tax has to be very high, and the entire situation in Denmark was a complete failure, but we can learn from this mistake and we can apply it to how we would apply this VAT tax in our country. So although 20% does seem a little high, with the money in the used in this tax, it could be used to subsidize for healthier foods like fruits, vegetables, grains, nuts, and organic foods. So according to the Huffington Post, the Center for Science in the Public Interest, a health advocacy group, released a study this October that estimated that states could generate as much as $10 billion a year by adding a 7-cent tax on 12-ounce cans. And this money can go towards subsidizing healthier foods and making it cheaper and more accessible to the general public. So one of the points that my opponent was saying was rather than taxing unhealthy foods, we would have to educate children. But in order to educate children about how to eat better and how to read labels, that costs money. So the 20% of this tax could be put towards maybe educating the public and getting health promoters to educate the public on how to eat properly. So by implementing this subsidization, similar how the government is subsidizing corn, we can see a shift in prices to where healthier foods become the go-to food rather than the cheap and unhealthy foods we see in our markets today. So in the end, the taxation of fatty and unhealthy foods can be a simple process. By targeting foods like potato chips, sodas, prepackaged food with high saturated fats, it can create a chain reaction to push forward for a healthier